Alright folks, big news out of Halloween Horror Nights 34 this week. We just had our big Spooky Empire Halloween Horror Nights panel in which some brand new information was released about this year's event, including the theme and first original haunted house. We also have some updates from within the park as construction officially begins on the streets of Universal Studios Florida for Halloween Horror Nights. We have a ton of information here and a lot of exciting stuff to talk about, especially as it pertains to that original haunted house, so I don't want to waste any more time. I just want to jump right into some spooky updates for Halloween Horror Nights 34. Now, Spooky Empire just kicked off here in Orlando, and they started out with a bang featuring a full panel solely about Halloween Horror Nights 2025, with many of the familiar faces regarding creatives behind the famous Halloween event. And they gave us a lot of information, but I want to start off with the general theme, the vibe, the aesthetic of this year's event. They did confirm that this theme for Halloween Horror Nights 34 here in Orlando would be titled The Conservatory. It's themed to gargoyles and stained glass, vines, and overgrown gothic atmosphere. For those who've been paying attention to the recent merch drops, this shouldn't be too surprising. It seems like this conservatory gothic feel is what we're going with for Halloween Horror Nights this year, and they describe it as being an overarching theme involving houses, scare zones, other entertainment, something you experience as soon as you walk through the gates into Halloween Horror Nights. And that is really exciting and gives me a lot of hope for this year's event. Now, while I liked last year's event, last year's Halloween Horror Nights, I will admit it was all over the place. You had the skater punky feel of the merch and the tribute store, and then you had the cosmic feel of Sinister and Surreal. It felt like Halloween Horror Nights and Universal couldn't really decide on one idea for HHN 33. So it's exciting that for HHN 34, they seem to be focused on one vision in particular. This can already be seen in the preview merch that is out in the park currently for Halloween Horror Nights, but also in the original haunted house that was just announced for the event this year. And I guess now is the time to talk about said haunted house. On Friday, June 20th at Spooky Empire, we got announced that El Artista, a Spanish haunting, would be coming to Halloween Horror Nights 2025. The house description reads, in 19th century Spain, a tortured artist moves into an isolated country manor for inspiration, but the art comes alive and possesses him. Taking a look at the key art right here, we have this dynamic photo of the manor itself. You can see the blood red shining through. You see some stained glass there, which is a large story thread or just an aesthetic thread that we're seeing throughout the entire event this year. And we have this silhouette in the bottom right corner of what I perceive to be Sergio Navarro, the artist himself, surrounded by the spirits of his creations. Yes, Sergio Navarro is the name of the main character of this house, the artist in question, and we actually did get to see him on stage at Spooky Empire, really getting a good look at this character, and he looks really interesting. On one hand, he kind of looks like a regular guy, but you can tell by the makeup and just the mannerisms and the way he carries himself that he is carrying some baggage, some metaphorical and maybe physical demons with him. While they didn't tell us a lot of specifics about the story of this house or kind of the direction of it, they did showcase some concept art and photos inside of the actual house itself. The first piece I want to focus on is a shot of these two characters here, with Sergio being on the right and this sort of freakish, almost bride-looking character, maybe like a saint, on the left. And we do get a closer look at this character with the mask that will be featured in this haunted house, which looks absolutely incredible. These really freakish designs tell me that this haunted house isn't something to play with. This isn't some goofy, funny haunted house. This is something darker. This is something more grim. I really like these creatures and how they do look very tortured, but it also looks like these are carvings. Like the one on the left looks like a wood carving, and the one in the middle looks almost like a gargoyle. Again, they emphasize that gargoyles are going to be a part of the visual language of this event, so I really like how this house is paying tribute to that. And then we get some concept art and photos of the actual scenic design, which looks absolutely incredible. They mentioned that Dylan Koloff is going to be a part of this project, and for those who don't know who Dylan Koloff is, he designed some of the best looking houses in recent years. I'm talking Dead Men's Pier, I'm talking Blood Moon Dark Offering, I'm talking Goblin's Feast from last year's event. When you go into a Dylan Koloff designed house, you're going to get some incredible scenery that feels very period accurate, and especially because this is taking place in the 1800s, I'm really excited to see how that plays out in this haunted house. Something else that really piques my interest regarding this Spanish haunting house is how they're pulling from the past, whether that be with Horror Nights, Dead End, Gothic, Graveyard Games, these previous ghost stories, but also to like classic illusion technology like the Pepper's ghost effect and other effects to bring these ghosts to life, utilizing these effects and storytelling methods to, yes, pay tribute to classic ghost stories, but also bring them to the next generation when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights. And that's really exciting. As someone who loves ghost stories in horror, it is just really cool that not only is Horror Nights tackling another ghost story, it's kind of been a while since we've had a true blue ghost story at Halloween Horror Nights that isn't tied to any franchise. So that's exciting, but it's also exciting to see it done in this whole new way with this whole new character. And that kind of ushers me into my final point about this haunted house and why I'm so excited for this one in particular. Yes, the scenic design sounds incredible. Yes, the scares and the technology side of it sounds really cool. But what's really captivating me right now is the story found in this haunted house. I love haunted houses that follow a singular story. It's one of the reasons why The Darkest Deal is my favorite haunted house I've ever been through at Halloween Horror Nights. There's something about going into a haunted house and seeing a beginning, middle, and end for a character. It just feels fulfilling and it makes the experience feel complete. Now, there are houses that I love that don't do this, that are more vibes based, but when a haunted house can tell a kick-ass story with incredible scenic and scares, it instantly has my attention. So yeah, if you couldn't tell already, I'm really stoked for El Artista, a Spanish haunting. But I want to know down in the comments below, what do you think of this haunted house? Are you excited to see Sergio Navarro's story told at Halloween Horror Nights? And what do you think of that conservatory theme? I think it is really interesting, and I'm curious to see how it plays out between the scare zones, the houses, the live entertainment, maybe some food and the tribute store. We will of course have to see, but right now we can actually begin seeing the first steps towards Halloween Horror Nights being taken inside of Universal Studios Florida itself. Yes, initial lighting trusses have gone live in the back half of the park for Halloween Horror Nights. I guess I should say it's not confirmed that it's for Halloween Horror Nights, but given the time of year and the locations being typically used for Halloween Horror Nights, we can assume that these trusses are of course for HHN. The first notable one I want to talk about is the one found at the end of Hollywood Boulevard, just outside of the entrance to the Central Park area. We have a truss right here that seems kind of out of place. It seems kind of in the middle of the walkway. But if you remember from 2022, we did have a truss structure here that held the show times and main sign for Ghoulish: A Halloween Tale, the last show to be featured on the Universal Studios Florida Lagoon for Halloween Horror Nights. Could this mean that we are seeing the Lagoon show come back? That is something I really wanted to see at this year's event. I put it in my wish list video at the beginning of the year. I think the Lagoon shows from a few years back are some of the best shows that Halloween Horror Nights has ever put forward. And with the IPs coming to this event, Fallout, Five Nights at Freddy's, Jason, we have so many iconic themes that could be used in a nighttime Lagoon show. Cinesational is here. It's been here for over a year, so we know that Universal can run a Lagoon show. Why not do one for Halloween Horror Nights, especially with a year as big as this one? Moving just across from the Central Park area, we do also have trusses live in the Cafe La Bamba outdoor dining area. This area usually hosts a food booth for Halloween Horror Nights. Last year, it had one for Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America. So I wouldn't be shocked if we see the same thing happening here. This is a pretty popular food spot for HHN. No trusses in any of the main scare zone locations quite yet. To find more trusses, you would have to go all the way to the back of the park, just past Men in Black Alien Attack. Now, for the last couple years, we've been using these double doors as an entrance for some haunted houses in the back of the park. Last year, this was the entrance for Goblin's Feast and Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. And the truss structures looked pretty similar to these, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see this entrance be used again for those sprung tents, the new ones, in the back of the park. We also have some trusses around the Fear Factor stage. likely for lighting and signage for Nightmare Fuel. And then finally, we also have some trusses around the Amity bathrooms and sort of London waterfront area. These are just basic lighting trusses, nothing too crazy. Sometimes they have projections that go on the floor, but this isn't really much to write home about. It's just some more indication that Halloween Horror Nights is coming closer. And that's about it for HHN updates. I hope you enjoy this video. I want to try doing this style of HHN update for like house announcements and construction, kind of blending it all together. So let me know down in the comments if you like this style of video, and let me know in general, what do you think of these construction updates? What do you think of that original haunted house? If you like this video and want to see more about Halloween Horror Nights and Universal Studios of the past, present, and future, be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. All support is greatly appreciated when it comes to these videos. And with that, I pretty much said everything I wanted to say here. Of course, I want to thank you for watching these videos. Stay tuned for more as we get more updates about this year's event. And with that being said, I will of course see you in the next one. Be sure to stay safe, stay spooky, and take care, everybody.